Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Plenty to come tonight, particularly the decision by the Finance Minister, Enoch Godongwana, to announce big changes to e-tolls. They're effectively being scrapped. The Gauteng provincial government will pay 30% of the cost. 70% of the cost will be borne by the national government. We're live to Ekurhuleni. Our reporter, Govan Whittles, is there to cover the debate in the motion of no confidence against Tania Campbell. But he's standing with the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, to give his reaction to the e-tolls decision. Govan, good evening. What's the Premier saying?
Good evening, Stephen. We'll get to the e-tolls question, and the Premier's also agreed to speak to us about that advisory issued by the United States Embassy that leaked on social media. Let's get straight into it. We came here to Ekurhuleni, Premier. Thank you for your time to witness the motion of no confidence in Tania Campbell, but it's been a day of breaking news. Firstly, the United States government appearing to issue an advisory which leaked on social media warning of a potential terror threat in Sandton on the 29th and 30th of October. What do you know about this?
No, thank you so much. We've seen that alert. We've since, as a province, issued a message to our law enforcement agencies just to verify it and also indicate their readiness, especially when the said incident are said to happen in our province here in Sandton. So we are awaiting that information. But we want to assure South Africans that I think where we are, the state is capable to deal with this kind of a matter. We really believe that our law enforcement agencies will take everyone in confidence if indeed this is correct, so that they can assist us to be aware what kind of a response can we unleash as a state, but most importantly as a province.
The advisory is released for the 29th and 30th over a weekend. It's one of the busiest times in Sandton, even though it's busy during the week. What's your advice to the people who live there, who work there and planning to go there this weekend?
We just wait for the state to formally respond to this alert. As I said, we have issued a request so that we are dead sure that indeed this is proper, following international protocols or channels or diplomatic channels, so that this kind of information can be verified and be concluded. And if it is, I think national government and the law enforcement agencies will assist us on how to respond to it. But I still feel we are capable as a state to respond to such a threat and to ensure that people that are staying around those particular areas are protected at all times.
Let's move to another item of breaking news. It's the announcement on e-tolls. The Finance Minister announcing that Gauteng would be expected to settle 30% of the e-tolls debt. Was this one of the initial proposals that you made? What's your reaction to it?
Well, it was tough and difficult negotiations. Rough, combative. It was not easy. But we had a choice. The debt stands at 47 billion. That's a huge debt. The people that are paying e-tolls, it's 6 billion. The interest on the loan is galloping at a very fast rate. Actually, it's about even to surpass the principal debt. So at one stage, we had to cut the umbilical cord. And when we came to office, our debate was that at what level are we cutting this umbilical cord? The reality is that people are not paying, and the reality is that these particular roads are not Gauteng roads. These are national roads. But we've been given this particular debt. And we went, persuaded national government, presented models. Initially, they said we should take 100% of the debt if we want to scrap them. We refused, and we went back to the bargaining table. And we are quite excited now and thrilled indeed that national government has accepted our proposals, that we are going to introduce a new revenue model where we'll take 30% of the debt and 70% will be taken by national government, because these roads are national roads, but they're indeed in Gauteng. So we will then deal with 30%. I've already appointed Minister Jacob Mamabulo, who is MEC Jacob Mamabulo, is the MEC for Finance, just to develop a new revenue model on how we're going to pay this 30%. And we'll share it openly and transparently with people of Gauteng, how we want to pay the 30%. But we are thrilled. We've passed the era of e-tolls. E-tolls in Gauteng are now history. Let's concentrate on the fight against crime. This is the next battle that we want to tackle on. Crime, corruption, vandalism and lawlessness. If we can tackle those two, we really believe that we have made progress in Gauteng.
The big question for Gauteng residents is whether or not they will be told to recoup the money to pay the 30% of the debt. Will you still be using any form of e-tolls, or is this the end of the tolling electronically in the province?
Thanks for that. Let me clarify it. It's the end of e-tolling. There will be no e-tolls in Gauteng, so they are formally history. But the revenue model is a revenue model that all of us must agree with people of Gauteng, so that we don't impose it, so that we can consult and formulate an approach that is acceptable to all. But where we stand as a province is that we are not going to use e-toll as a form, or e-tolling as a form of revenue connection, and we'll formulate a new model that will discuss and debate it with fellow Gauteng citizens, so that this part of history can be closed and finally be closed, and we can move on and concentrate on the biggest task, of which I really feel is crime and corruption, lawlessness and vandalism. That's the next biggest battle that I want to lead this province to tackle head on and harshly, so that we can attract investment. You can't attract investment when there's this level of crime, kidnappings, robberies, and South Africans or people of Gauteng are literally in jail in their own houses. So we need to relieve and liberate them. So the next battle, I'm glad we have finished the e-tolls one. So the next battle is just to ensure that the crime is defeated in our province.
Lastly, on the e-tolls issue, just to press a little, Premier, you're going to be delivering the state of the province next year. Can we expect you to outline how you will collect that revenue by then?
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, let's move to Ekurhuleni. It seems the writing's on the wall for Tania Campbell here. We just heard much of the debate from many of the parties, including what they call the Super 7, that would be the minority parties, who are supporting the ANC's motion, essentially getting it over the line. Looks like the EFF will abstain. At this point, will you celebrate the city, or are you still just cautiously optimistic?
It's promising, I must be honest. It's promising that we'll touch the finish line. We can smell it, we can touch it. But the state of finances of this municipality makes us not to celebrate. That we have to go there and close those potholes. We have to go there and ensure that there is reliable electricity, refuse removal, and many other things that people of Ekurhuleni are complaining about. But the vote of confidence from the minority parties to work with the African National Congress is not only humbling, but is a signature that the renewal agenda of the ANC in this particular province is supported by people within the ANC and outside the ANC. And we want to humble ourselves that we will not disappoint them. We will carry them through the finish line to ensure that our province remain a renewed province that can service our people in all the areas, not any particular area.
Based on what you've seen here, you think you can form a majority government that includes those parties?
If you succeed here tomorrow morning immediately, we will convene a meeting of our coalition partners so that we can formulate a strategy on how to have an inclusive government that can include everyone that supported the African National Congress.
Thank you so much. That's the Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, speaking to Newzroom Afrika on the sidelines of that motion of no confidence in Tania Campbell here in Ekurhuleni. Well, you heard him on the terror attack, the scrapping of e-tolls, and the future of this council. We'll head back into that meeting quickly, Stephen, to try and catch a glimpse of that vote and the reactions from Tania Campbell, the mayor, her multi-party coalition, the ANC, the EFF, and those minority parties.
Our reporter, Govan Whittles, thank you very much indeed. More live coverage of that vote in Ekurhuleni.